Grace and peace be unto you. I'm glad that you came back for another episode of The Food Truck. And we're going to see what today's special, what God is going to be serving today for us so that we can apply it to our lives. For the past 2 weeks, we have been looking at the topic of relationships, and the character that we looked at was Samson. And the first week I talked about Samson's relationship with his parents. And we know that wasn't a good relationship. But the following week, my wife came and presented a sermon on relationship that Samson had with his first marriage. And as we saw through the text that he had some problems with his relationship with his first wife. And today we're not going to stop right there. We're going to look at relationship that Samson had with one character that everybody knows, that needs no introduction, and that is Delilah. Oh my goodness. Everybody knows about Delilah. And when we think about Delilah, I tell you what, I don't know anyone at a young age that has the name Delilah. That's one of those names that you try to stay away. That you don't name your child that. Delilah, Jezebel, names like that. Ichabod. Those are names that you would refrain from using on a child when they're born. I mean, you look at those names, those are ones that you try to stay away from. But we're going to look at his relationship, Samson's relationship. And for the past 2 weeks, his relationships with the other two were bad. Do you think it'll be any different? Well, let's just let you know, Samson in the last 2 relationships were bad. It's not going to get much better than this. Delilah's relationship with Samson was still bad. And there's some points that we can look at through the text, how we can apply this. And ladies, you're going to like this. I'm telling you, women, you're going to like what I'm going to be saying and stating on this. But fellas, you might want to just, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be telling some secrets that it's going to be pretty hard to hear. Let's look at the text starting out with. If you look at Judges, the 16th chapter, I want to start at a verse that want to frame this passage so that we can get the content of what we're going to be coming at. If we look at Judges, the 16th chapter, I would like to start at verse number 4. Then sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "See if you can lure him into showing him the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." And I just want to stop just right there. And looking at this text, I believe, and if you want to leave this in the comment, and this is a good argument to have, do you believe that Delilah was the one in the wrong, or was Samson the one in the wrong? That's something to think about. And I would like to argue Delilah was who she was. Delilah was a person who was from another tribe. And Delilah was one who was a Philistine, who was the group that was oppressing the Israelites. So Delilah was who she was. And as we know from Maya Angelou, when people tell you who they are, you need to believe them. So I like to shift it over and look at Samson and how he did wrong, where this relationship should not even existed. So let me start out by stating the first marriage that Samson had with his wife, when he got married, it says in the Bible that Samson wanted this woman. And on the other side of the verse, it said that God pretty much ordained this to happen. He wanted this to happen. But then when you look at this text with the story of Samson and Delilah, it doesn't say nothing about Samson being led by God in this relationship with Delilah. Hold up, pump the brakes. I know I just said something right there, and I just want to push this upon you today. When you are going to form a relationship, I would say that if it is not led by God, you are in the wrong place. That is something to think about. And there are some hidden jewels in this text that can prove the point of how you can tell if you are in a right relationship. Now, I'm not talking to the ones who aren't married. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to all your single people, single men, single women. And I want to use some of my life experience of how I did fall in, just like Samson, and how I was the one in the wrong, just like Samson or Delilah, and some signs I should have seen that I didn't see. Now, I want to give a shout out to one person, Reverend Tammy Logan. She said that one time. She said, I knew you were in the wrong place. I knew you was with the wrong person. But you had to see it for yourself. All right. To paint this picture, let's go back in the text with the story of Samson and his first wife. And there was a moment in time in chapter number 14, chapter number 14. Then Samson's wife threw herself on him, sobbing, "You hate me. You don't really love me. You've given my people riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. I haven't even explained it to my father or mother," he replied. "So why do I explain it to you?" Let that sit for a minute. This is the mindset that Samson had, even in the relationship with Delilah. We're going to get to Delilah in a second. How many times have you been in a relationship? And I want to put this on the ladies because this mostly happens to you as a female. When you have heard the fella say, "Why do I need to explain to you? Why do I need to explain to you that I love you?" This is one question that I know I have heard, even from my wife, and I might have said, I don't show my love like that. Well, I don't need to say I don't have to say I love you all the time for you to know that. Because if your actions are showing love, you don't even have to say it. Oh, I know I'm right on this. Just hit in the comment you like what I just said. When you show it, you don't always have to say it. You don't believe me? My wife will contend with this. She will say that I'm right about this on this. I don't believe in Valentine's Day. Because why do I need to believe and do Valentine's when I can show my love every day that we are together? And so I don't have to tell my wife I love her. She knows it by my actions of how I interact with her, how I go day to day with her. So ladies, if you are not seeing the action that a person cares for you and they don't say it, then how Samson painted the picture, it paints the picture as though I ain't showing you I love you. So why do I have to explain the riddle? This is a chance for a relationship where you need to get out of it. I know that is hard to believe because we are under the assumption that when we see someone and we fall head over heels over this person, that this is the person for me. Haven't you been in a place where you pray, you're like, Lord, I'm praying that you send that special one for me. And you find yourself going to church and see that individual on the side, and you say, that's the one, I think. And you've been praying, you say, Lord, let this one be the one. And then because it checks all the boxes. And then when you get to know that person 1 year, a few months, a few hours, you try to maneuver to make it work, when you know good and doggone well that person ain't the one for you, because they have not only said it with their words, but they done it with their action. When people tell us who they are, believe them. So we're going on to the text. So that's one sign of knowing when you as an individual, male or female, need to get out of a relationship. When the actions and the words of the other individual don't match. So going into the text, and we're going to look at Delilah. The one point that I like to make of this whole relationship with Delilah, the first thing, she was a Philistine woman. Okay, God didn't ordain this marriage, this relationship to exist. Okay, but then when she is trying to figure out where does his strength come from, Samson, knowing he's not supposed to be there, knowing that he don't need to be in this relationship, he lies. And so some of you might be thinking, but he lied in a good reason, because the Lord told him not to share that information. You right. But any time that you have to lie in a relationship because you know you're not supposed to be there, you're still in the wrong. And you know what? A lie in a relationship creates another layer of lie, and another layer of lie, and another layer of lie. As a matter of fact, you forget the first lie that you did. You don't believe me. Let me share this with you. This is something that I can say that I have done, especially in a relationship, where I lied in a relationship. Like if the person says up there, I want to spend some time with you. Oh, I got something to do. That was one lie. I would say something like, well, I'm busy tonight. I ain't busy. That was the first lie. Then it turned into another lie. Then it became another lie. By the time I got to a highest peak of lies, I forgot the first lie that I said. And that's when it was a problem. When you are led by God, especially in a relationship, here's the thing. You never have to lie. Because lying only creates another layer of something happening that is not under our control. Samson and Delilah, in this relationship, lies were told, and then on the flip side, by that lie being shown, ignorance, stupidity comes in. Because there's one question I like to think of. How many times does Samson have to know that she's against him? How many times do you have to know that the person that you're with is against you? They're not in your best interest. They're all about you. Because that's the reason Samson is in this relationship, because it's all about Samson. It has nothing to do with Delilah. Samson wants this relationship because he wants to satisfy himself. So to satisfy himself, he'll do anything, even lie, manipulate. And every time he lied, there became an action on Delilah's part. And when she did what he told her that shouldn't be done, he still didn't get it. he couldn't figure it out, or he wanted to show a blind eye, or haven't you heard this? You don't know this person like I know this person, or haven't you said they get around, they will change. I'm going to change them. You cannot change anybody. For when people show you who they are, believe them. Delilah goes and does act after every lie Samson had told her, and he still wanted to stay. How many times have you been hurt by that individual? And you believe in that they will change. They told you that they can change. Don't feel ashamed of that. I've been there plenty of times. Matter of fact, I've been on the other side. And when it is not led by God, things of this magnitude do happen. Lie after lie, manipulation after manipulation, actions being done against the other person, tit for tat, tit for tat. And what does it resolve in? A broken relationship with the two individuals being more damaged than what they were when they came into the relationship. This is not very healthy. Matter of fact, it causes not only a problem with the two, but it spreads throughout to everyone else that are familiar or close to the individual. So today, in your relationships, first, is God leading this relationship? 2, is the individual on either side, are their actions and the words matching? Do they say they love you? Do they show their love through their action? Or are they always calling you out your name? It's all about the individual. And you're wondering, is it going to get better? This is what I would share. The best way to know, or if God has already told you to leave, is ask God. This is where we can give it to the Lord and ask him, and don't be so-called oblivious to the answer that he gives. Relationship. What's love got to do with it? It has a lot to do with it. And next week, we'll be diving into part 4, the final part of Samson's relationship with God. Once again, I thank you for tuning in to the food truck and today's special relationship. What's love got to do with it? I ask that, and I pray, and I encourage you to lean on God when dealing with relationship and see how God directs you each and every day. This is Reverend Gordon. May the God's peace and his blessing be upon you. Amen.